and welcome back to Gay by Gay.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I am really tired.
Yeah.
If you follow us on YouTube and you saw the vlogs for, I was going to say this week, but we're recording this in advance. If you saw the vlog that was from February 12th to whatever date it's supposed to be, or wait, no, I guess
it would go up on the 13th.
I have no idea.
Abby's brain is gone.
Well, it's gone. I don't even know what the date today is anymore because if you follow the vlogs, I was up at 3:30 this morning making pancakes for a homeless shelter with my mom. Mm-hmm. So it's been a very long day. It is currently like 6:40 p.m. Mm-hmm. I am unbearably exhausted and my brain is not functioning anymore. So I have no idea what kind of... I said this to you earlier. I have no idea what kind of content we're going to generate today because it's either going to be me being depressive, me being manic, or me being manic depressive. I have no idea what we're actually going to get.
I'm a little bit tired, but I'm okay. We're surviving.
I envy you.
Don't. Please don't.
But you have some big news.
I have big news. I'm going back to school. Yay! I'm excited, honestly. When I left school in 2019, all the way back then...
That makes it sound like you didn't graduate high school. That's not the case.
No. I'm going to
post-secondary.
Yeah, post-secondary education. But when I left high school, I said, I am never going back to school. I hated it. But that was because I spent so long, I put so much, pressure on myself. I did all the hardest classes and all of that, which is good.
You did.
Yep. If you can do that, please do that. If you don't know what you want to do yet, it opens a lot of doors.
I was going to say, just keep your doors open so that you don't go back and have to sit there and then pay to take these extra classes to try and get upgrades and equivalents.
Yeah. Now at this point, I'm going into pre-medical technology, and then I take a radiology technologist program. And I am very excited because... medical professions, and I am a slut for medical professions, honestly. So I get to go back, right? So this week I've been kind of preparing my admissions and all of that, sending in all of my information, take it. I was terrified when I first started looking it up because I know nothing about university. I mean, I already have some university credits from high school because I was in special programs and stuff, but I just I did not know what course hours were or credit hours.
The jargon is very confusing because I know I went to university right out of high school, so it all made a lot more sense because, me and my friends were all discovering the same stuff together. For you, it's probably pretty jarring because you've been out of school for a couple of years at this point, so looking at it now, you're just like, what is any of this?
Yeah, I was freaking out. My friend Sherry is in school right now to become a teacher, and I'm texting her, Sherry is 12 credit hours, 5 years. How many classes is that?
No.
If you're wondering, one full-term class is 6 credit hours.
Yeah.
So my prereqs to get into my rad tech program, only take a year.
Yeah,
so,
it's not that bad.
It's a year of the prereqs and then 2 years in the program. So in 3 years, I could be a medical professional.
I mean, that's absolutely amazing. You know
exciting.
What I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know this is a huge switch for you because... Originally, your plan was to pursue a career straight up as a performing artist. Mm-hmm. But at this point, with COVID and everything else, you've kind of reflected a little bit and gone, it's an extremely unstable lifestyle. Yeah. And I know you said that you wouldn't mind pursuing it on the side still, but as your one and only profession, it's a huge risk, especially just because right now, we don't know when things are going to be opening up again. Even if COVID were to go away tomorrow, the amount of fallout and impact that this has had on the performing arts industry, it could be years before we really see things go back to normal. And I think you're at that stage where you can still decide whether or not you want to get into that profession. So I think staying in it to some extent is a good idea, but at the same time not pursuing it 100% the only thing, because I feel like right now that it's so risky.
Oh, it is so risky. Even for me, I think a lot of what motivated my decision was the fact that I hated school.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go back.
Yeah.
I've also kind of felt straight out of high school, I was going through a bad time, so I kind of felt like I had no future in general.
Your last 2 years of high school were probably some of the darkest years you had.
I got good grades and everything, thank God. So now
the schooling was never the issue.
Yeah.
It was everything else that you were going through at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't feel like I had a future, so I was kind of like, you know what, I don't want to go back to school, and this is what I'm doing. This is the best course of action right now, and I just wanted to, like, reflect on my schooling years and think.
Sometimes you just need to take a little bit of time.
And now, you know, I have a girlfriend, I want to immigrate to the States, I know I want kids one day, and having kids when you're a lesbian is an ordeal, even if you're adopting. Adopting is also expensive.
And I mean, there's so much that goes into that between the cost of IV and everything else. On top of that, the stability factor of you being a performing artist, and if you're planning, you know, it's one thing if you're someone like me, who I am not planning on settling down anytime soon. It's not that I don't want kids one day. I don't know. I'm kind of at the stage where I'm like, if I have kids, I have kids. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah.
For you, it's a certainty that you want them.
I do want them.
And so, you know, for me, it's not as risky to say, okay, I'm fine with taking a riskier career path because I'm only really impacting myself. Whereas for you, you very much are planning for that sort of family future. Yeah. And I think it is so important that you really take that into account when deciding your career path. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you need the security if you're going to have a family.
When you're just getting out of school and you're like, I was 17 when I left school, and you're faced all at once with things changing, your daily life is not what it was anymore, deciding what you want for the rest of your life.
It's intimidating.
Scary. Huge.
And I mean, I know I had my reflection a little bit later where I actually went to school first and then decided, no, that's not what I want to do. And I mean, even now, I still question it sometimes where I'm like, you know, if I'd stuck through with it, I would be at the point of pretty much graduating at this point. And I'm just kind of like, did I make the right decision? And, you know, I think there are always days that you're going to question it, no matter what you decide, because you're always going to say that whole, what if I did this? What if I did that? But I think the most important thing is that you can kind of look back on it one day and say, you know, not, oh, yes, I made the right choice, because I don't know that you can really ever 100% say that. But saying, I am happy with the choices that I made. I don't regret the choices that I made. And I think that's, you know, one of the biggest things. It's probably one of the hardest things.
I think that going through life as a performing artist and relying on that as your source of income is risky, especially how I want to live my life, because I am someone who wants to have a partner.
Yes.
Because I am just a people person. I love people. I want a person. And I want to get married pretty early on. And I probably will at this point.
And I mean, I feel like it would be one thing if your partner were to be, I don't know, some high-end lawyer who made so much money that you didn't need to worry about it. And you're just like, you know what, screw it, I can pursue my life ambition because realistically they're fine with basically just being the sole breadwinner for the most part, and whatever I make is just peanuts. But it's very different when you're in like a legitimate partnership where both of you want to be contributing. That's something very different, because now the life of a performing artist almost seems selfish in some ways. I don't want to make that a negative, because I mean,
it's not, it's just a different a path that you have to be supportive on. And my girlfriend was very supportive of me dancing, but we did have conversations where it was like, my girlfriend's struggled with poverty in the past, and she was like, you know what, I don't care what we do, I just want to make sure that we can cover rent and cover food.
And that's the big thing, is that as a performing artist, you know, the whole trope of, oh, it's a starving artist. That's no joke. And I can say that even for me, I run a dance studio, and there are still times that I feel the pinch, and it's just me on my own. You know, I pay for my rent, I pay for my food, and it can be scary. And I can only imagine that trying to raise a family where basically, I mean, my income is even more stable than yours to some extent, because with a performing artist, you never know where your next job or gig is coming from and how much you're going to get paid. And there are times that performing artists go and do a gig or a job and they don't see the money either for months or sometimes they don't see it at all. It's a riskier lifestyle.
And it's just like, sometimes when you're just getting out of high school, and especially like for me, when I was just getting out of high school, I didn't know the cost of like what rent costed or what water costed, or if you have a car, what that costs.
You just hadn't, if I said you didn't really have any worldly experience, do you know what I mean?
Like when you just get out of high school, reality is so warped.
You think you know everything and you think you're really prepared for it, but I can tell you, like for me, I moved out the same year I started going to university. what a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Things were so different. And I know for you, that's another step you're looking at taking is moving out.
Yeah.
And, I think it's one of those things where for the next couple of years, you're going to be fairly unstable.
Yeah.
Just between paying for school and everything else, it's going to be unstable. Yeah. And I think that's going to prove to you just how important that stable job is going to be in your life.
Yeah, because I kind of had to weigh, is stability important to me, or is dancing and performing important to me? And to me, because I love performing in every aspect and ounce, I can still perform and be stable, just not as a profession.
And I mean, that's going off of the idea that you are just a performing artist and only a performing artist. There's nothing saying that you can't do something on the side. There's nothing that says, oh, you work another job? Sorry, you can't be a performing artist anymore. Like, there's no rules like that. You know what I mean? I mean, for me, I run a dance studio. I'm also a waitress.
Yeah.
Even I have a secondary job on the side where it's just like, sometimes you need that supportive income. And honestly, I don't really know many performing artists that
don't.
Either a waitress or they work somewhere else on the side and they just, make sure that they kind of clear their schedule so that they can go to rehearsals and stuff. Yeah. So I think, it's just adding more stability to your life. I don't think you're taking performing arts out of your life. I think you're just adding more stability to it, which is one of the smartest things I can think about doing.
I'm excited. For the first time ever, I'm excited to go back to school.
I think that's huge. But I also think that kind of reflects on the fact that you're in a much better mental place now than you were coming out of high school. I think that this was the break you needed.
Yeah, definitely.
And you discovered so much about yourself that it's put you in a position where you can be ready to go back to school.
So should we take a break here and we'll come back and talk about continuing education for me?
Absolutely.
Hello, welcome back.
So, little bit of a question for you here. You're going into rad tech, which is radial technology.
Yeah.
So basically, you're in charge of X-ray machines and everything and that sort of stuff. On the break, I asked you how much medical knowledge you actually need to have, and your answer kind of surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, the 3 credit hours of medical terminology I have to take.
And that's it.
That's it.
And that's it.
Well, that's the prereq for the program. And the program, I'm not too familiar with the courses themselves yet. I know it's a full course load and stuff like that. But I know my first year is courses, and then the second year is almost entirely clinical rotations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I have quite a few friends who are in nursing. I remember them doing their clinical rotations and everything else. But realistically, I have to say that I'm very surprised at your choice. Not that I don't think you are going to be good in the medical profession, because I actually think it suits you quite nicely, knowing that you are actually a fairly academic person, but you also have a very outgoing personality. It does seem to suit you very, very well. The thing that surprises me is I never would have expected this choice from you.
Yeah.
What drew you to radial technology?
It was something I was thinking about in high school. It was something
do you remember where the idea even came from? Like, that's not just, I want to be a doctor or I want to be a nurse. Like, that's something that's very specific. Was it like, did you go and get an x-ray and think to yourself that you wanted to do it?
It was never something like that. It was more like you know me, I'm cost effective.
Yes, you are.
So what can I go to school for that takes less time, that can give me the most bang for my buck?
So high-paying job for not years and years and years of expensive schooling.
So it's probably 3 years of schooling, full-time will be stressful, I know that, but I can handle that. And it's only about probably like 25K. So
it's a lot of money, but
a lot of money.
When you take a look at how that will be paid in dividends with a job like that.
Starting wage is around $20 to $25 an hour.
And that's really good.
It's more in the States. It's more in the States, I know that.
Yes.
And I could also get dual, certifications.
Exactly.
So,
on top of that, it's a career path that can branch out, right?
Yeah, I can move into MRI and the CTs and the sonograms, and the fluoroscopy or something. I don't know.
You'll figure it out with that medical terminology course, obviously.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
But yeah, I've had to get a few x-rays and ultrasoundings done in the past. I remember being like, I wonder what this person does every day. I wonder what they do. Mm-hmm. And
how many weird things they must see.
Yeah. Well,
honestly, that's the thing I'm the most excited for. Like, patient confidentiality is a thing, but that being said, I may or may not also be kind of excited to hear some of the weird, gross things that come into your practice.
Well, when I was 17, I had to get an internal ultrasound done, and we talked about dogs. So
I'm so excited for your future life. You have no idea.
I mean, it was something I was thinking about in high school. In my head, before I was already decided I wanted to be a professional performer. So in my head, I was like, well, if I ever went back to school, I would do this.
Right.
So it was already in my head. I think what surprises me the most is that I was getting geared up for the requirements into the RadTech program, because that's the really competitive one.
Yeah.
Because they're only taking people from our province.
Right.
No international students can apply. So I want to get into this. And the highest, how they seat you, is based on your Casper test score. And
so what exactly is a Casper test?
So this Casper test was made somewhere in Ontario. It's a Canadian test.
Okay.
And it's not, you would think it's like a terminology test, an information test.
I mean, you're going into a medical profession,
Yeah.
You're going to school for medicine, you would think that it would be something logical.
No, it's a morals test, an ethics test.
I don't know what to say about that.
I know.
I mean, I suppose, yes, going into something like this, you need to have good morals and good empathy, but at the same time, you're going to school at this point. I feel like a Casper test is something that you get before you get a job, not before you go back to school.
Yeah, I know. It is really interesting. Apparently, doctors have to take it as well. I don't know about nurses, but I know doctors have to take it.
It wouldn't surprise me because, again, I think testing your morals is good to make sure that you still have that caring, empathetic nature and that you're not being jaded in any way.
A lot of the questions...
But to go back to school, it just seems odd.
I know. It's really weird to me, but I respect it, obviously. I think they just want to confirm that you are a professional, that you can show your empathy, you're not...
morally corrupt.
Yeah, morally corrupt going into medicine, because that could mess with people.
I mean,
you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to respond... I think it's 8 video questions and 4 either quotes or written situations that you have to respond to.
Right.
And it's 5 minutes to answer 3 questions for each section.
So basically, you watch this video, and normally they're about a minute long. And then you read the questions, and you have 5 minutes. And normally there's 3 questions. You have 5 minutes to answer the questions to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
And it's based on your morals. And there's absolutely no indicator of what they're looking for, whether they're looking for, a more corporate approach, whether they're looking for a more empathetic approach. Like, it's literally just, what do you think? And that is so scary because you're literally being graded on the way you think as a person.
Yeah.
That's intimidating.
Yeah, there's even, like, our English provincial exams that we have, and they're kind of dumb.
Yes.
Ours specifically.
Yes.
Sometimes they'll have here's a quote. Tell me about a time in your life where you were courageous. There's some
I remember
like that.
I remember that. Oh, I hate that crap.
Yeah, I know. But I find it just so interesting because there's so many different answers. So it's like I'm already kind of like preparing for it. I'm like, I want this because they seat you based on like the highest score down for the program. So I'm like, I need to get in.
But I mean, I think it's just going to be thinking outside the box a little bit, right?
Because I've already started watching YouTube videos of like, how do you study for a Casper test? It's more just like trying to increase your typing speed almost.
In a lot of ways, it's being able to get what's in your head formulated and then out onto the paper or the computer or whatever it is you're using, right? It's making sure that you don't get stuck there thinking, how do I phrase that? How do I say that? Like, I know what I'm thinking, but how do I word that? And for you, that's a struggle.
I know.
Thank God it's not an English test that you need to pass in order to go into this, because I feel like that absolutely would not happen for you.
Well, I'm not an Englishy person.
You don't word very well sometimes.
I do not word very well all of the time, actually. But I think I'm a pretty moral person. I think I'm an empathetic person.
I would absolutely say so, which is why I'm not worried about you passing this Casper test, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about you getting your answers out in time.
Yeah,
but
true.
I think you'll do just fine in the test itself. So. But this brings up an interesting thing for me, where, as I had said before, your explanation of why you want to go into rad tech makes sense to me. Just the most bang for your buck, short schooling, big dividends. But it really does kind of surprise me because if anyone were ever to tell me that you were going back to school, I absolutely 100% would have said that you were going back for something like psychology instead.
Yeah, I used to want to do
like
that.
more soft science, more talking to people.
Yeah.
Like it's still technically a medical profession, but it's much more human interrelation.
If I'm honest, I think I would have such a hard time not taking the patient's pain on as my own.
You are absolutely an empath. It would be a challenge.
It's a different thing. I know that there's some of that with my chosen path. When you're in medical, you see people swallowing batteries, needing to get surgery, you see gunshot wounds, stuff like that.
It could be a very tough
profession. It could be hard, but here's the thing. You're with that person for like maybe a maximum of like an hour.
It's very different than a psychologist who has to sit down and really get inside their patient's head. And I feel like with that could affect you very, very deeply.
Yeah.
Especially for you because you do struggle with, anxiety and depressive episodes and stuff like that. I feel like becoming a psychologist is something that you have to have like a very strong foundation for yourself psychologically.
I don't know if I'm going to be down for that for the rest of my life, honestly.
Especially because you do tend to take other people's issues on as your own. You're a fixer.
Yeah.
And I feel like you need to have that fixer personality to be a good psychologist, but if it goes too far, that could be detrimental to you.
I hate to be practical right now, but that field is so highly competitive right now because everyone's going into it.
Everyone needs a therapist.
Everyone's either going to psychology or nursing.
Yep.
Not a lot of
nursing right especially, like, I know at least 3/4 of my friends all decided to go into nursing, and I was like, what the heck?
But however, for me, because we have a large aging population, it's highly probable that we're going to need a lot more rad techs to perform x-rays.
I was going to say more x-rays, you're going to need more testing, MRIs, stuff, more scans, everything like that. So I think it's a very stable profession. I think it's a long-lasting profession. If you ever start to get bored, you can branch out into different things. I think this is a good choice for you. I think
it's a good choice too.
And ultimately, I think it will give you the stability so that if you do decide that you want to, dance semi-professionally on the side, it wouldn't prevent you from doing that. You know what I mean?
I can still do it, yeah.
And I think that's something else that's kind of interesting to bring up is what is the definition of a professional versus a semi-professional when it comes to performing arts? Because I'm left sitting here, can you really be a semi-professional? Does that mean working the profession half the time? And yet if you get a job, then you're obviously a professional. So where do you draw the line?
I don't know. I think for me, professional means that you are constantly training and constantly taking classes and constantly meeting people and pushing yourself and getting better. And I think that's part of the reason why I kind of shied away from it, because a lot of professionals have a very short career just due to bodies and deterioration and
injuries and everything else.
You can only push yourself so far.
I mean, look at someone like me. I'll be really blunt, where I was injured in a high school dance class, and that ended any prospect of a career I had before I ever even got a chance to start one. So it can be, one accident is all it takes, and all of a sudden your entire career is gone, and then what do? You have nothing to fall back on. I mean, that's where a lot of us do end up becoming teachers and choreographers and everything else, because we desperately want to stay in the industry, but we can't dance anymore. It's very unfortunate. But, I think this is a good path for you. I think, pursuing a performing arts career either recreationally or semi-professionally instead of full on 100% of the time, I think is just the safe choice. You take it from someone who was injured and couldn't dance professionally. You always want a fallback.
And also, not to scare any professional dancers or aspiring professional dancers out there, I think as long as you're aware of the reality of it and you love it and you have your foundations and your technique, go for it.
Exactly, follow your dreams. But I also think sometimes it is good to have reality alongside those dreams, where it's not just, it's going to be all, roses and rainbows. Sometimes you need that reality of, this is not very stable. I'm going to make sure I can achieve my dreams, but I need something, a dose of reality along with those
because
dreams.
Unfortunately, we live in a society and we need money. So
Exactly. But I'm very excited for you to start on this journey. We're all going to be supporting you and rooting for you.
I get to make I've been accepted an announcement. We hope.
We are all going to be just waiting for it.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
And that's what we're going to end here for today. Thank you so much for listening.
We'll see you later, guys.
Absolutely.
Take it gay by gay.
Bye.